For the residents of Chicago that have been paying their taxes, taking care of their business, and on top of things, I want you to know what's waiting for you on the other side of things.
And a Beverly family is carjacked at gunpoint outside their home, and a bold crime caught on surveillance video last week.
CBS 2's Marissa Perlman is in Beverly with the warning right now from this family to their own community.
The feeling and the sound, I'll never forget any of it, but that it's probably going to stick around the longest.
It's this sound of Jeff Pettiford's wife, Michelle, and his daughter screaming for their lives he still hears. Two suspects on foot run into their backyard, push Michelle to the ground, and demand her keys. A gun is pointed straight at her. Michelle still won't watch the video.
Yeah, give me the keys. I lived it. I don't need to see it. I know, what they did. I know that they put guns at my husband. They rushed at me with guns.
Their daughter inside calls police as Jeff tries to de-escalate, telling the suspects to take his car parked in the driveway.
That's open. You just take it. Get out! Get out!
The suspects spewing new threats with each passing second. They eventually jump into Jeff's car and drive off. The Pettifords left on the ground in their own backyard.
Courage is sort of what you do in the face of fear, and there was a lot of fear.
And I'm so grateful that we're here.
Can you imagine? This is happening. Listen. Let me tell you something, big dog. I had, over the last 48 hours, in preparing what it is that I wanted to have a conversation about on this show, before we start getting into the money, before we start getting into Richard Fain and all of that stuff, I had ample ammunition and everything at my doorstep in order to try and figure out what I wanted to present to you today as far as what's happening in Chicago. I had ample opportunity and ample ammunition, meaning that it was somebody getting carjacked over here. It was somebody getting their head cracked open over there. Multiple different shootings happening overnight. These people were over here getting robbed. Somebody was getting slapped in the face and then took their keys. Somebody was getting carjacked over here. There was no shortage of articles to select to present to you guys. No shortage at all. This is the new normal, not just within the city, but also in the suburbs and all around. They are restricting your ability to be able to protect yourself. They are distracting you with things that does not help you. They are allocating resources away from the stuff that you should have to protect yourself, and the cops, and no support for those people over in Chicago. They are not reinvesting into your infrastructure or your communities. They are at a budget deficit while also raising your taxes 15 to 30% in the Chicago areas. And this is what you get in return as a result of it. This is mismanagement. This is disrespectful. As a man, a family man myself, to know or to see, even to have evidence of audio, video, young dudes running up with the ooh-wop shebang with a gun pointed in the faces of us, with her and her daughter out there screaming and yelling, and them being so brazen as to take their time, wasn't even quick with it because they were not worried about the police officers even having a good response time to come and protect you in the first place. And the horror and the humiliation, and also the PTSD of not even wanting to go back in your own backyard because the criminals are winning. They just passed the Safety Act. So even if they catch them, it's a strong possibility that they'll just get a slap on the wrist and say, hey, make sure y'all come back and come and visit us, as though we're not dealing with some of the worst criminals in the face of the earth. And this is what you get as a hardworking, tax-paying, doing the right thing citizen of the United States of America of Chicago. This is what you got to look forward to. They are not spending your money properly. And if it wasn't for social media, then you would not even be aware of what's happening to your friends and your family and your neighbors and your other citizens of the United States of America across the board. We have an influx of people coming into this country and coming into these cities, and we don't even have adequate support for the people that have already been here. Isn't that wild to you? Does that not seem insane to you? Does that make sense to you?
We showed the terrifying video to retired Chicago Police Chief of Detectives Eugene Roy. He says each family member, especially Dad Jeff, did the right thing.
He calmed the situation down by saying, here, there's my other car. Keys are in it. Take it. Go. Fortunately, that worked. And he was able to de-escalate the situation and get his family out of harm's way.
Roy says giving up your property and not reacting in the face of danger can save a life.
Being calm is the best strategy.
And this family left with a powerful warning to their community.
It doesn't discriminate on area. It's everywhere. And so it can be you. And if we don't do something to change this, it doesn't get better. It continues to get worse.
It doesn't discriminate based off of area. That is his message. They asked, hey, what would you tell the people that's watching us right now? He said, listen, and I've been telling y'all this for a long time now. He said, listen, it don't matter where you think you from. It don't matter that you think that you far away from the hood. See, I did a video on my other channel when I said, listen, one of the reasons why I stayed in my city is because it's better for me to participate in the rebuilding, the gentrification, and the changes that I want to see in my city than trying to run away from it. Because you can't run away from the devil. Eventually, he gonna catch you. You got to face him. You thought that you running away to the suburbs was going to be the best thing for you and your family. You pay more property taxes. You thought that you was going to get better schools. That's not how it works anymore. See, the same way that you change and you evolve and you think that you're going to make the best decision for your body, for yourself and your family and your future, you don't think that the criminals is making adjustments also? You don't think that they know how to drive out to where you live at? You don't think that as you close a loophole on how it is that they can do crime over here, that they're going to make the adjustment and do it a little bit differently over there? You thought that you was going to outrun it? Let me tell you what happened with Detroit, right? I'm going to tell you what happened with our city. White flight happened in the 50s and 60s because everybody was moving up here for jobs, especially as it relates to the auto manufacturers. Jobs plentiful everywhere, right? And so because there were people moving into the inner city, white people at that time decided that they wanted to move out to the suburbs. And so all of the infrastructure around all the communities that's surrounding Detroit, which they now call Metro Detroit, and it's even one of the richest counties, Oakland County, you can look it up, is in Michigan. Oakland County is one of the richest counties in the United States of America. Oakland County is one of the richest counties in the United States of America. So they gave the city over to all of the black people. At that time, and that demographic of people, culturally, had nothing to do with the color of your skin because there was some good people in there. Culturally, they decided that they wanted to make it their own. So they gave them everything that they want, and they gave them the keys to the city. They became the mayors, all black. City council people, all black. Jobs, government body, workers, residents. Did you know that Detroit had became, and is still is today, the literal blackest city in the United States of America. Atlanta ain't got nothing on Detroit. Houston, nah, nada. Starting with Mayor Coleman Young, and people don't want to have this conversation, ran the city into the ground. All the way into bankruptcy. Schools destroyed. Infrastructure destroyed. Jobs destroyed. Even the sports teams moved out of the city. And when everybody moved out, you know what happened? I'm going to read that super chat shortly. You know, when everybody moved out, what happened? They gave you the keys to the city. They said, you can run it how you see fit. Corruption, theft, robbery. Everybody stole from everybody, including the politicians. They said, I'm going to get mines. And then they destroyed their communities. And they said, well, we don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to just be honest with you. They destroyed their communities. And then when I was born in the 80s, I seen the worst of it. So when I grew up admiring the New Yorks and the San Diegos and all of these good, great, bustling cities and what they were to become. And I heard about the history of Detroit and I seen Motown and all of that stuff. And I said, well, why not my city? Because I went to school downtown. I had to catch the bus every single day going down to Carjacked. And I seen the potential of what it could be. And I always said to myself, I'm never leaving. I am going to see the evolution of the city because it's a mindset of people that's different than who came in here, the people of yesteryear, the boomers and all of those dudes, and they messed up the city. They stole from it. They stole from their own children. They stole from everybody, right? And so then the criminal element started to spill out everywhere else. People from Detroit that was down here tearing up, they moved to other cities. You see a lot of people that's then traveling. They moved down to Atlanta. They move over to Arizona. Some of them moved over to Florida, Texas, New York, all of that stuff, right? And when the city started to become more hollow because it was a city that was built for 2 million people and the population had got down to under 700,000, all of the good people and the white people and everybody that actually seen the value in the city moved back in. This is a fact, though. They moved back in. And then the black people complained and they said, we don't want you coming in our city gentrifying it because you moving all of the people out that's already been here. And they forgot the last part, tearing it up. So now we've priced you out. You can't come into certain parts of the city unless you're willing to make some concessions. And when you come to Midtown and Corktown and downtown and Mexican Town, and where I got my office, where I just got my new residence at, right there on the riverfront, right? All of these teams moved back into the city. You got the Pistons, the Red Wings, the Detroit Lions, the Tigers. They're all literally within a mile of each other. Greektown is awesome. Campus Marshall's Park is popping. Police everywhere. Crime is 100% down. Everything is changing. Streets is repaved. Schools is open. New skyscrapers coming in. Dan Gilbert came in and moved all of his employees downtown, right? The Illich family of companies. Tom Gore's and his companies. Everything changed. Rebuilt the Riverwalk. Got the most beautiful Riverwalk in the entire country. The most beautiful Riverwalk in the entire country. And we want to protect it now. Now, we're not willing to let anybody come in and mess up what we got going on. You can visit, but you take your monkey A home. You can visit, but you need to go home. Go home. You can't stay here. We pricing you out. You can't stay here. If any crime pop off, everything shut down. Everything shut down in the city. If anything happened within downtown area or the areas that's starting to gentrify, and now you got to spread out. You're going to have to catch the wave where you can get it. Sherrill Forest is back popping. Avenue of Fashion over there at Illinois is popping. Boston Edison District was popping. Everything is back popping now. Neighborhoods changing. Everything is changing. And now they're complaining. If you want change, be the change that you want to see in your city. But stop waiting on everybody else to come in and do something for you. It's not happening. It's not happening. Stop waiting for people to come in and fix your communities. You know who the killers are. You know who the carjackers are. You know who the dope boys are. You know who the people that's flooding your streets with the fentanyl is? You know this. Make the adjustment. Stop making excuses. Stop running in the victim Olympics. Stop parking on your lawns and your grass, because you can no longer run away from your problems now, because the criminal element has now spilled into your community, similar to what's happening over in Chicago. They got the new food hall on 6 Mile. I went over there and visited, and I also recorded over there. Go and check it out on my other channel. The same way that I documented the decline of Detroit over the last few years, I also been highlighting the ascendance of Detroit over the last few years also. Now you are forced to face and reckon with the criminals, because they're everywhere. They're in your communities. They in the suburbs. They in the cities. They're everywhere. Now you got to face it. Now you so uncomfortable where you can't run away from it. Ain't no running out away from the communities anymore. It's a part of the fabric of whatever it is that you are. Drugs, it's all across the board. Dope, fentanyl, heroin, everything, opioid crisis, it's hit every single doorstep in the United States of America. It's not just in the urban communities anymore. It's just a fact. So you can run and you can try to go to a different city, but they don't even want you. And they look at you in the same way that they look at you as a foreigner, even when it comes to how you're moving over into different cities outside of the United States of America. Listen, Texans don't want you. And I don't have no problem with it. I'm going to go over to the next story in a second. But let me tell you something. People in Texas that's native to Texas, they said Texas is full. They don't want you there. They don't want you coming over into their communities, bringing your same voting habits and your same ways with you. And they're not just talking about Californians. They don't want you from New York. They don't want you from Florida. They don't want you from Chicago. They don't want you there. You are not welcome in their communities, and I don't blame them, because fix the communities that you came from. Don't come over and start messing up what it is that they got going on. That's their communities. Let them have it. They don't want you. Y'all ran down to Atlanta and tore that up. Ran over in Florida and tore that up. Stay in your own communities and vote the way that you're supposed to vote, and start to take care of business and fix your own communities. Participate. Understand who the leadership is in your communities and start to leverage what that relationship is and hold them accountable for what it is that they're doing. They don't want you. They don't want you in their communities, and I don't blame them. Stay where you at and fix where you came from, and stop selling your mama's house for pennies on a dollar and then go back and saying something is wrong with everybody else. They don't want you there. And I'm cool with it.